Chioma's birthday party. After all the guests had gone home satisfied and full, after the caterers had cleaned up and taken away the leftover jollof rice that could have fed a small village for a week, Chioma sat in her guest room, surrounded by mountains of gifts. She unwrapped them one by one, exclaiming over each one like they were treasures from a pirate ship. An iPhone, gold earrings, designer perfume, a handbag that cost more than her first car. And then she saw it, the gift with Busis written on the tag. Her heart swelled with love. No matter what had changed between them, no matter the distance, Oluchi was still her Busis, still family, still the girl she had grown up with. She unwrapped it carefully, taking her time, and gasped, "Emeka, come see what Oluchi got me." Emeka appeared in the doorway looking tired but curious. When he saw the clock, even he, a man who had seen expensive things all his life, was impressed. "That's beautiful." "I know." Chioma examined it, turning it over in her hands like it was made of glass. "Look, it says made in Egypt." This must have cost a fortune. Oluchi really outdid herself. She noticed the time was 5 minutes off and adjusted it quickly, twisting the calibrator like she had done it 1,000 times. Then she marched to the living room and hung it on the wall with pride. "Perfect," she said, stepping back to admire it. Neither of them noticed the way the clock seemed to hum with something dark. Neither of them felt the cold that swept through the room for just a moment, like death had walked past. Neither of them knew that they had just welcomed destruction into their home, with open arms and a smile. At first, nothing seemed wrong. The clock ticked away quietly, like any normal clock. Life went on as normal. Chioma's business was thriving, making money like a well-oiled machine. She sold imported goods, clothes, electronics, accessories, and business was booming. Emeka's company was landing new contracts left and right. Everything was perfect. Too perfect maybe. But then small things started going wrong. Small annoying things that you don't think about too much at first. Chioma lost 50,000 naira in one day. A supplier overcharged her, and she didn't notice until it was too late. It was annoying, but not devastating. Her business turned over millions. What was 50,000 naira? Peanuts, change, the price of a decent lunch. A few days later, she lost 500,000 naira when a shipment arrived damaged and the supplier refused to take responsibility. They argued back and forth, but the money was gone. Chioma was frustrated, but not panicking yet. These things happened in business. You win some, you lose some. Then one of her staff members, a girl she had trusted, a girl she had helped pay school fees, stole 5 million naira and disappeared like smoke, just vanished into thin air. Chioma reported it to the police, but the person was never found. Gone like Buhari's promises. And then came the call that changed everything. The call that made Chioma's stomach drop to her knees. "Madam, we need to talk about your container." Chioma had a shipment coming in. Goods worth 50 million naira. She had invested all her savings into that shipment. Every kobo, every naira she had worked for. It was supposed to be her biggest profit yet. The one that would take her business to the next level. "What about it?" she asked, her stomach already sinking like a stone in water. "It's been seized by customs. If you want to claim it, you need to pay 100 million naira. Chioma's phone nearly slipped from her hand. "What? The goods themselves are only worth 50 million. Why would I pay 100 million? Do you think I'm printing money in my backyard?" "Those are the rules, madam. Pay or leave it." Chioma felt like she was drowning. like someone had pushed her into the ocean with weights tied to her feet. She told Emeka, who was equally shocked. "That doesn't make sense," he said, his face tight with anger. "If we sell everything in that container, we still won't get our money back. We'd lose 50 million. We'd be paying them to keep our own goods." They had no choice. With pain in their hearts, pain so deep it felt physical, they abandoned the shipment. Just like that, 50 million naira gone, vanished, like it had never existed. Kilma's business took a hit so severe, it nearly knocked her unconscious. She had no savings left, no backup capital, nothing, just empty pockets and shattered dreams. Emeka tried to comfort her. "Don't worry, I have a new project coming. Once the money comes in, I'll help you restock. We'll bounce back stronger." But the money never came because the course wasn't done, not even close. Emeka's company started bleeding too. Within 1 week, just 7 days, 5 of his top managers resigned. Not just any managers, the ones who held key positions. The ones who knew how the company worked inside and out. The ones who had been there for years, who knew all the secrets, all the processes, all the contacts. They all quit at once, like they had planned it, and went to work for Emeka's competitors. Just like that. No warning, no explanation that made sense. Emeka tried to promote junior staff to fill the gaps, but they were inexperienced. They made mistakes, small mistakes that led to big losses. They fumbled contracts. They miscalculated budgets. They were trying their best, but their best wasn't good enough. And then the worst blow came, the one that nearly destroyed everything. 5 major projects that Emeka had been working on. Projects worth hundreds of millions. Projects that were supposed to secure the company's future for years were suddenly cancelled. All 5. At the same time, all 5 companies pulled out, citing unforeseen circumstances. No real explanation, no real reason, just, "Sorry, we're pulling out." Emeka had invested heavily into those projects. Millions and millions of naira. Now his money was tied up, and the companies were refusing to pay him back. They were acting like they didn't owe him anything. He took them to court for breach of contract, but the cases dragged on like stubborn goats being pulled to the market. Months passed. His reputation was being destroyed. His name was being dragged through the mud. No one wanted to do business with a company involved in messy lawsuits. It looked bad. It smelled worse than trouble. The couple who had once been living comfortably were now struggling like never before. They started cutting costs, letting staff go, selling assets, the extra cars, the jewelry, the things they had bought when money was flowing like water. They watched their empire crumble like a sandcastle at high tide. And through it all, the clock on the wall ticked quietly, always 5 minutes late, counting down to their destruction. It was the Paris deal that finally broke Emeka. The deal that made him realize something was terribly, terribly wrong. He had a crucial meeting. If he landed this contract, it would save his company. It was worth millions. It was everything. It was their last hope. He had booked a flight from Lagos to Abuja, then a connecting flight from Abuja to London, and finally from London to Paris. Everything was planned down to the minute. He had checked and double-checked. He had set multiple alarms. He was not going to mess this up. He woke up early that morning, earlier than he needed to, got ready, dressed in his best suit, left the house with plenty of time to spare. But there was traffic. The kind of traffic Lagos is famous for. The kind that doesn't move no matter how much you honk, or pray or curse, or threaten. The kind that makes you question all your life choices. The kind that makes you wonder if you die in your car and become one with the road. Emeka tried everything. He called the airline to see if they could hold the plane. They couldn't. Sorry, sir. We don't wait for anyone. He got out of his car in the middle of the traffic and flagged down an Okada, riding through the chaos with his heart pounding like a drum at a festival. But when he finally got to the airport, panting and sweating like he had run a marathon, his suit wrinkled and his dignity in tatters, the attendant looked at him with sympathy. "I'm sorry, sir. The flight left 5 minutes ago." 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Emeka wanted to scream. He wanted to throw something. He wanted to cry. He tried to book the next available flight, but it was in 5 hours. By then, he would miss his connecting flight in London, and there was no way to make it to Paris on time. The whole trip was ruined. The deal was lost, just like that, because of 5 minutes. Emeka went home that day, looking like a man who had seen death, and death had laughed at him. His eyes were hollow. His shoulders were slumped. He looked like he had aged 10 years in one day. Chioma tried to comfort him, but what could she say? Their lives were falling apart, crumbling like old bread, and they didn't know why. They didn't understand what they had done wrong. That's when Emeka noticed the clock. Really noticed it. He was sitting in the living room, staring at nothing, wondering how his life had become such a disaster, when his eyes landed on the wall clock. It had stopped working. The hands were frozen, dead. "Chioma!" he called out, his voice flat. The clock stopped. Chioma came in and looked. "Oh, that's strange. It's been acting weird anyway." "What do you mean?" "It's always 5 minutes late. Always. We've changed the battery. We've adjusted it. But it always goes back to being 5 minutes late. Like it's cursed or something." She laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. Emeka didn't laugh. He stared at the clock, and something cold settled in his chest like ice. 5 minutes. 5 managers quit. 5 projects cancelled. 5 minutes late to the airport. 5 million stolen. 50 million lost. 5. Always 5. "Where did you get this clock?" he asked quietly, his voice so low it was almost a whisper. "Oluchi gave it to me for my birthday." "Why?" "What's wrong?" Emeka didn't answer. He just kept staring at the clock. And for the first time since everything started going wrong, he felt like he was seeing the real problem. The clock wasn't just a clock. It was something else. Something evil. "We need to pray," he said finally. "What?" "Emeka, it's just a clock." "Chioma." He turned to look at her, and his eyes were so serious she stopped talking immediately. "I need you to trust me. Something is very wrong. And I think it started with this clock." That night, Chioma had a dream. A terrible dream that shook her to her core. She was back in the village, back in secondary school, wearing her old uniform, the one that was too tight and made her uncomfortable. She was young again, sitting in class with Oluchi, and everything was simple. They were laughing about something, holding hands, being bussies. But then the classroom started to darken. The walls started to close in, and she couldn't move. She was stuck there, trapped, going backwards instead of forwards. She woke up in a cold sweat, her heart racing like she had just run a marathon in her sleep. The next morning, with shaking hands, she called her mother and told her about the dream. Her mother's voice went sharp, the way it did when she was serious. "Chioma, listen to me carefully. To dream that you are back in secondary school, back in the village, wearing your old uniform, this is a sign of backwardness. Someone is trying to pull you back. Someone is working against you. This is spiritual warfare." "What do I do, Mama?" Chioma's voice was small, scared. "You need to pray. Now. Right now. Don't waste time. Don't delay. Pick up your Bible and go to church. This is not ordinary. Chioma, who had been a Sunday Christian, the kind who only went to church when it was convenient, when there was nothing else to do, suddenly remembered how to pray. She picked up her Bible, dusted it off like she was cleaning an ancient artifact, and went straight to church. The Reverend Father listened to her story, his face growing more serious with every word. He prayed over her, his voice powerful and commanding. He gave her scriptures to recite. He told her to fast, to pray without ceasing. Chioma went home and told Emeka everything. They decided to fast together, to pray together, to fight this battle together, whatever it was. For 3 days, they fasted. No food, just water and desperate pleas to God. Even the children joined in, though they didn't understand why. They just knew something was wrong, and Mommy and Daddy were very serious. The house was filled with the sound of prayer for 3 days straight. They prayed so much that even the mosquitoes started saying, Amen. The rats in the ceiling stopped squeaking out of respect. Even the cockroaches didn't come out. They all fasted together. The family, the mosquitoes, the rats, the cockroaches, everybody. Because there was no food in the house anyway. All the pots were washed clean and sun-dried like they were preparing for inspection. And then, on the 3rd day, Chioma's phone rang. It was the Reverend Father. His voice was urgent. Chioma, I was praying for you and your family this morning, and the Holy Spirit revealed something to me, something important. Chioma's heart started pounding. What is it, Father? Someone gave you a gift. Recently, a few months ago, an expensive gift. Since that gift came into your house, since you accepted it, that's when everything started going wrong. You need to find that gift and destroy it immediately. Don't delay. Don't hesitate. Destroy it so that things can be reversed. Chioma's blood ran cold, like someone had poured ice water through her veins. But Father, I received many gifts for my birthday. How do I know which one? If you have to destroy all of them, then do it. Your life is more important than material things. You can always buy new things, but you can't buy back your destiny. Do it today. Do it now. Chioma hung up and told Emeka, her hands shaking. He nodded grimly, his jaw set. Let's do it. We're not taking any chances. They gathered every gift Chioma had received for her 30th birthday. The iPhone 17, the latest model that wasn't even officially released yet. The gold earrings that sparkled like stars. The designer handbag, the expensive perfumes, everything. Chioma held the iPhone in her hands, tears in her eyes. It's the latest model. It costs so much. I'll buy you 10 iPhones once this is over, Emeka said firmly, his voice leaving no room for argument. I'll buy you iPhone 30 that hasn't even been invented yet. But right now, we need to destroy these things. We need to get our life back. They were about to start gathering everything when Emeka's eyes landed on the wall clock. The one that had stopped working. The one that was always 5 minutes late. What about that? He asked, pointing. That's from Oluchi. Chioma said immediately, defensively. It can't be that. She's family. She's my boo sis. She would never hurt me. Never. A gift is a gift. The pastor said destroy all gifts. He didn't say except the ones from family. But, Chioma, Emeka's voice was hard. Harder than she had ever heard it. Listen to me. We are at risk of losing everything. Our business, our home, our future, our children's future. We might end up back in the village with nothing. Do you want that? Do you want our children to grow up the way we grew up? Struggling for everything? Chioma looked at the clock. Her bosses had given her that clock. Sweet, supportive Oluchi. Her cousin. Her sister. There was no way she would hurt her. No way. But then she thought about the dreams, the losses, the way everything had gone wrong since her birthday, the way the clock was always 5 minutes late, always five, everything happening in fives, with shaking hands, feeling like she was betraying her own family. She took the clock off the wall. They gathered everything in the backyard, built a small fire, and one by one they threw everything in. The iPhone melted, its screen cracking and bubbling like it was screaming. The handbag turned to ash. The perfume bottles exploded with small pops. The gold earrings blackened and twisted. And then Chioma threw in the clock. It landed in the fire with a heavy thud. For a moment nothing happened, and then it started to crack. The glass face shattered. The gold accents turned black. The whole thing seemed to writhe in the flames, like it was alive, like it was dying and angry about it. They prayed over the fire, prayed until their voices were hoarse, prayed until there was nothing left but ashes and the smell of burning things. And then, exhausted, they went inside and waited to see what would happen. The next day, Chioma got a call from customs. She almost didn't answer, thinking it was another problem, another disaster. "Madam, we've been trying to reach you about your container." Chioma's heart sank. "What now?" "Your container has been cleared. You can come pick it up. You only need to pay 500,000 naira. Chioma thought she had heard wrong. "What? You said 100 million before." "Yes, madam, but there was a mistake in our system. It's been corrected. Come and claim your goods." Chioma thought it was a scam. She was sure of it, but she went to the office anyway, ready to fight. And it was true. Her goods were released, just like that. After months of being held hostage, they were suddenly free. Her business was back, just like that. Then Emeka started getting emails, one after another, like rain. The 5 companies that had sued him, that had dragged his name through the mud, all withdrew their cases within 24 hours. They apologized. They offered compensation for the trouble. They wanted to work with him again. They were practically begging. The managers who had left started sending emails asking to return, saying they had made a mistake, saying Emeka's company was the best place they had ever worked. Emeka didn't take them back. He had learned who was loyal and who wasn't. But new opportunities came flooding in, like water through a broken dam. Better opportunities, bigger contracts. The Paris client called personally. "Mr. Emeka, we made a terrible mistake. The competitor we hired did terrible work. We want to work with you. We are willing to pay extra for the inconvenience." Within 1 week, everything that had been broken was fixed. Doors that had been slammed shut were opening again. Money that had disappeared was coming back. Hope that had died was resurrecting. The curse was broken, completely broken, destroyed like the clock in the fire. The return, but in another part of Lagos, in a nice apartment in Lekki, Oluchi was suffering. The nightmare started the same day Chioma burned the clock. The exact same day, like she had been connected to it somehow. Dark, terrible dreams. Dreams where she was being chased by shadows. Dreams where she was drowning in darkness. Dreams where she couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, couldn't escape. She would wake up screaming, her sheets soaked with sweat, her heart pounding like it was trying to escape her chest. She couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think. Food tasted like sand. Water tasted like tears. Everything felt wrong. She went back to the diviner, anger burning in her chest like fire. "What did I pay you for?" Oluchi shouted, her voice cracking. "You said it would work. You said her life would be destroyed." The old woman looked at her with cold eyes, eyes that held no sympathy, No remorse. It did work, but your cousin destroyed the gift. She burned it. The curse has returned to you. What does that mean? Oluchi felt her legs go weak. It means everything you wished on her will now happen to you. The lateness, the losses, the destruction. It's all yours now. Every bit of it. You wanted her to suffer. Now you will suffer in her place. No, no, that's not fair. You have to fix it. Oluchi grabbed the woman's arm, desperate. The diviner pulled away like Oluchi was contaminated. I can't fix it. You did this. You sent evil out into the world, and now it's come back home to you. This is how it works. This is the price. Oluchi stumbled out of the house and went home, her mind spinning like a broken carousel. And that's when everything started falling apart. At work, she started making mistakes. Stupid mistakes that she never would have made before. Missing deadlines by exactly 5 minutes. Forgetting meetings. Sending wrong emails. Miscalculating figures. Emeka, being the good man he was, being family, covered for her at first. He made excuses for her, told the board she was going through something personal, but the mistakes kept coming like a flood. Eventually, they had to let her go. They had no choice. The company couldn't afford to keep someone who was making so many errors. Oluchi lost her job, the job she had worked so hard for, the job that had defined her, the job that had made her feel important. Gone. Just like that. She tried applying to other companies. Her CV was perfect. Her qualifications were excellent. Her experience was impressive, but no one would hire her. Something always went wrong at the last minute. The interviewer would be impressed, ready to give her the job, and then suddenly change their mind. Every time. Like something invisible was blocking her. Then she came home one day to find her apartment had been burglarized. The door was still locked, but somehow, someone had gotten in. Everything was gone. Her electronics, her furniture, her wigs, all those expensive wigs that cost thousands. Her clothes, the designer clothes she had worked so hard to afford. All stolen, vanished. The police came, took a report, and never found anything. The thieves had disappeared like smoke. Her car broke down the next week, and the mechanic told her it would cost 3 million naira to fix it. Might as well buy a new one, he said, shrugging. But Oluchi had no money for a new car. She had no money for anything. Her savings were disappearing faster than ice cream in the sun. She decided to leave Lagos. Maybe a fresh start in another city would help. Maybe the bad luck wouldn't follow her, but it did. Like a shadow, like a curse. In Abuja, she found a job but lost it within a month. Same problems, same mistakes, same invisible force working against her. In Port Harcourt, she couldn't even find an apartment. Every place she tried to rent suddenly became unavailable at the last minute. The misfortune followed her everywhere like a hungry dog. She couldn't escape it, couldn't outrun it. It was part of her now. Finally, desperate and broken, looking like a shadow of her former self, she went to church. A small church in Abuja. She confessed everything to a priest who listened without judgment, his face kind but serious. "You need to tell your cousin the truth," he said gently. "Confess to her. Ask for her forgiveness. It's the only way to break free. Evil sent out will always return unless forgiveness breaks the cycle." Oluchi didn't know how she was going to do it. How could she tell Kioma what she had done? How could she admit that she had tried to destroy her life? That she had paid someone to curse her? That while she was smiling and playing with Chioma's children, she was secretly wishing for their mother's destruction? But the nightmares kept coming. The losses kept mounting. She was dying slowly, painfully, like a plant without water. She had no choice. with trembling hands. Feeling like she was walking to her own execution, she called Chioma. Hello? Chioma's voice was warm, like it always was, still kind even after everything. Chioma, it's me, Oluchi. Her voice was shaking. Oh, hi. The warmth dimmed slightly, became cautious. They hadn't spoken much since everything happened. I need to tell you something. It's important. It's it's about what happened to you. Okay. And then Oluchi told her everything. About the diviner, about the curse, about the clock, about 1 million naira, about how she had sat in that dark house and planned Kyoma's destruction. She talked and cried and begged for forgiveness until her voice was hoarse and her tears had soaked her phone. There was silence on the other end, a long, heavy silence that felt like death. You did what? Kyoma's voice was ice, colder than Harmattan morning, colder than a rejected lover's heart. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was jealous. I was angry. You were jealous. Kyoma's voice rose, louder than Oluchi had ever heard it. You tried to destroy my life because you were jealous? We were bulls, sis. Since we were children, we shared everything. You were at my wedding. You held my babies. You ate at my table. And all that time you hated me. All that time you were smiling at me while cursing me. I didn't hate you. I loved the maker. And you took him. I didn't take him. Kioma was shouting now. He chose me. He never wanted you, Oluchi. He never even looked at you. And if you had just told me how you felt, if you had just been honest, I would have walked away. Because you're my cousin. You're my family. I loved you more than I loved him. I would have chosen you. I know I'm sorry. Sorry. Do you know what you put us through? We almost lost everything. Our business, our home, our future, our children's education. We were going to end up back in the village, begging for food. Because of you, because of your jealousy. Oluchi was sobbing now, her whole body shaking. Please forgive me. I'm dying here. The curse came back to me. I've lost everything. Everything, please. I don't want to die. Good, Kioma said coldly, her voice like a knife cutting through skin. You deserve it. You deserve everything that's happening to you. And she hung up. The sound of the call ending was like a door slamming shut on their entire childhood, on every memory, on Busi's. But Kioma couldn't sleep that night. She tossed and turned, thinking about Oluchi, about the little girl who used to hold her hand and skip down village roads, about the girl who shared her clothes and her secrets, about Busi's. She saw Oluchi's face in her mind, not the bitter, jealous woman who had cursed her, but the little girl, the one who had cried when they were separated, the one who had called her Busi's with so much love. The next morning, her phone rang. It was her uncle, Oluchi's father. His voice was tired, old. Chioma, please, we need to talk. It's about Oluchi. She's not well. The family needs to meet. The family called a meeting in the village. The elders gathered in the big compound where Chioma and Oluchi had played as children. Chioma and Emeka drove down, both of them silent and tense, the car ride feeling longer than it should have. When they arrived, the whole family was there. Aunties, uncles, cousins, the elders of the clan, everyone looking serious and worried. And in the center of the room, kneeling on the floor like a criminal awaiting judgment, was Oluchi. She looked terrible. She had lost so much weight she looked like a shadow. Her eyes were hollow, sunken into her face like dark holes. Her skin looked grey. Her hair was rough. She looked like she was dying. And maybe she was. The eldest in the family spoke, his voice heavy with authority and age. Kioma, Oluchi has confessed her sins to us, to the whole family. What she did was an abomination against blood, against family. But she is family. She is our daughter. We are begging you, please forgive her. Don't let her die like this. Don't let this family be destroyed by hatred. Chioma looked at Oluchi, and for a long moment, she felt nothing but anger. Pure burning anger. This woman had tried to destroy her, had cursed her, had pretended to love her while wishing her dead, had smiled at her children while cursing their mother. But then she saw something else. She saw the little girl in the faded school uniform, the girl who had cried when they were separated for university, the girl who had called her bussies with a love so pure it hurt to remember, the girl who had shared her last piece of meat, the girl who had walked miles just to visit her. Chioma took a deep breath, feeling something break inside her chest. I forgive you. Oluchi's head snapped up so fast, it looked like it would fall off. You do? Yes. I forgive you because I don't want you to die. I forgive you because holding on to this anger will only destroy me too. I forgive you because we are family, and that has to mean something. But Chioma's voice hardened, turned to steel. I never want to see you again. Our relationship is over. You are no longer my bussies. You are no longer part of my life. I wish you well. I wish you healing. But stay away from me and my family. Don't call me. Don't visit. Don't send messages through other people. Just stay away. The room was silent. So silent you could hear people breathing. So silent you could hear hearts breaking. Oluchi nodded, tears streaming down her face like rivers. I understand. Thank you. Thank you for sparing my life. They hugged briefly, a cold, formal hug that held none of the warmth of their childhood, none of the love, just obligation and relief. And then Chioma and Emeka left, driving away from the village, from their past, from buses. Chioma returned to Lagos a different woman, older, wiser, sadder but stronger. She had learned that not all gifts are good gifts, that not all smiles are genuine, that sometimes your greatest enemy is not a stranger in a dark alley, but the person sitting right next to you at the dinner table, smiling and calling you family. She became more careful, more prayerful. She went to church not just on Sundays, but whenever she needed strength. She prayed with her children every morning and every night, teaching them to be vigilant, to be wise, to test every spirit. Not everyone who smiles at you loves you, she told them. Some people smile with their mouth, but curse with their heart. Life went back to normal, better than normal even. The business thrived beyond what it had been before. Emeka's company grew stronger. The children were happy and healthy. They bought back everything they had sold and more. Sometimes, Chioma would hear updates about Oluchi through her mother. Brief updates, like weather reports. She's in Abuja now. She found a job. She's doing okay. Not great, but okay. Surviving. Chioma never called her, never reached out, never asked for details. She had forgiven, but she had not forgotten. And she knew that some relationships, once broken, once poisoned, can never be the same again. Some things you can't unbreak, some words you can't unsay, some curses you can't uncurse. As for the clock, Chioma never hung another clock in her living room. Every time she looked at the empty space on the wall, she was reminded, time is everything. It marks your life, your death, your growth, your losses, your wins. But sometimes, time can be your enemy. And sometimes, so can the people you love most. Thank you for watching this story. What do you think of this story? Let me know of your thoughts. Until I bring another intriguing story your way again. Bye for now.